Yesterday, Ranil Wickremesinghe gave a press statement and said that he is giving us good news and that he has come to an agreement. One of the best agreement, he said, we could have come to in terms of a external debt restructuring, in terms of the official creditors committee, as well as various countries, including the Exim Bank of China. Immediately, members of the opposition, some of the members started congratulating, and it seems everything was fine. And we must ask why this happened, because since 2022, when the country declared bankruptcy, and since we went into this IMF agreement, as we all know, the entire burden of the economic crisis has been suffered and borne by the working people and the marginalized. So this is the government who is now telling us that all of this suffering has paid off, and now we have come to the best agreement we could have come to. I want to urge all of you, and I'm not talking to people in power, I'm talking to people. I urge all of you to see, to think carefully, to ask the right questions on what Ranil Wickremesinghe said yesterday. What he essentially said is, up to 2027, we have gotten a grace period where we don't have to pay debt. Now, this is already in the IMF agreement. IMF also has agreed to it. So, up to 2027, we have gotten a grace period in terms of our debt. But between 2027 to 2032, we will be paying our external debt, external creditors, 4.5% of the GDP. Right? We would be paying our external debt, external creditors, 4.5% of the GDP. Now, what does this actually mean? The IMF predicts, or the IMF has given us a target that within this period, we have to raise our revenue to 15% of the GDP. We have to raise our revenue essentially through taxation of the people. We have to raise the revenue to 15% of the GDP. Now, we all know what taxations have done to us, right? We are all going through this right now. And with all of that squeezing the last rupee out of us, last year, we came to a revenue of only around 9.3%. But the IMF the target is 15% of the GDP. So what the government is essentially proposing is that you raise the revenue up to 15% of the GDP. And after you raise the revenue up to 15% of the GDP, out of that, now you're going to pay a debt of 4.5% to external creditors. We are not talking about internal creditors. We're only talking about external creditors. Putting it in simple terms, what the government is saying is that for the next several years, we would be taxing you. Till you fall down out of exhaustion, we will be taxing you. Because while they are taxing the people, they are also giving concessions for repatriation of profits. Those are not taxed. Foreign investments, when the profits are not repatriated, IMF is saying don't tax it. Don't tax the repatriated income. So the taxation is solely going to fall on us. So we are going to be squeezed out of the last rupee of our earning, and that taxation is not going to be used to invest on education or health or reduce our electricity bills or water or on our food. That taxation is going to be paid or going to be used to pay the external creditors. Now, if someone is thinking we have to anyway pay, so at least this agreement has come into being, I want to only say two things. Firstly, when the Rajapaksas and then the Ranil Wickremesinghe government started borrowing from the international sovereign markets on interest rates, which even at that time, many economists in Sri Lanka were warning, saying that we will not be able to pay. When they were borrowing, did those borrowings benefit us? We did not sit and party, and we did not have a great life in the last 10-20 years on the borrowings of the government. We were still struggling. While the people who went to the international sovereign markets, they took that money, they stole that money, they brought this country into a state of crisis, and now the same thieves are telling us that we have to pay. We have to pay for the money which they stole. We stole, but you guys have to pay out of the taxations which we are going to impose on you. That is the summary of what Ranil Wickremesinghe said yesterday. Now, if anyone is still thinking, yes, but we are in a state of crisis, so at least this has come about. Last week, international economies, the Sri Lankan economy is not the orthodox ones, not the ones who have been cheering on the government. People like Dhanusha Gihan Patina, Dr. Ahilan Kadarahamar, Dr. Kalpa Rajapaksa, Dr. Amali Vedagedra, these people have been telling us for a long time, and now international economies last week warned us that your government is not even negotiating. They are not even negotiating for terms on behalf of the people. They are just agreeing to everything which the IMF is telling us, and the IMF is looking after the interests of the creditors. They don't care if we starve and die. They are looking after the interests of the creditors. They want to ensure that every rupee we borrowed or every dollar we borrowed is paid back. So economists have come and told us, I'm not talking about the orthodox economists, I'm not talking about the economists on the side of the government. Economists on the side of the people have come and told us that your government is not even negotiating. Ranil Wickremesinghe is running into this deal because just before the elections, he wants to come and say, I have saved the country, so I am the best person to lead this country for the next several years. Yesterday he came and said, I am not interested in power, I am only interested in looking after the welfare of the people. That is the biggest lie he has told us in recent times. What I want to request from people who are listening to this is, Ranil Wickremesinghe, from the time he entered politics, you have to ask yourself whether he has been telling us the truth. When he entered politics, one of the first things he did was he oversaw a torture camp which tortured and killed youth who were struggling with horrendous economic conditions which existed at that time. That is his history. And at one point in history, when there was a brilliant constitution which was drafted, which would have given some kind of concessions to the national question, his government, his people, burnt the constitution. That is the history of Ranil Wickremesinghe. We have trusted Ranil Wickremesinghe under various guises for nearly 50 years. If you continue to trust a man like him, this is no longer a mistake you're making. This is no longer an ignorant mistake you're making. This is a choice. You're choosing to be misled by a man who has lied to us for this long and continued to lie to us even yesterday in terms of one of the worst deals we could have entered into in terms of our country and in terms of our debt situation. And we will be seeing the repercussions of the deal he entered into yesterday in the coming years if we do not put an end to Ranil Wickremesinghe's rule. Thank you.